Our group decided to do our project on the topic of the fall of Peru. Our group members consisted of Riley Rodriguez, Nate Redding, Kyle Erzell, Derek Ulmer, and Joey Ross. The research question we were trying to figure out is how is deforestation in Peru decreasing the region's biodiversity and the amount of species in the area? What effects could this have on the ecosystem and planet as a whole? So basically what we're trying to say here is that as construction workers and different businesses are cutting down trees in forests of Peru, how is this affecting the species that are living in those forests? So say birds, if all the trees get cut down, then the birds will disappear, and then the species that eat the birds, they'll disappear, and so on and so forth. So it's like a chain reaction. So we're trying to determine how this affects, how the deforestation affects the biodiversity in Peru. The background of our Prezi document here is about three people, three faces just laughing, and that represents humanity laughing at the destruction of the forests, because basically in today's society nobody's really recognizing the problem at hand, and they're more just passing it over and laughing and saying like, oh well, we're building our businesses. So the background is a forest that's completely destroyed in Peru, and then a bunch of faces that are just laughing, showing society laughing at the destruction of the forests in Peru.
Okay, so the next part of infographic is actually like the bulk of it, and I want to talk about this because it's the most important part probably in our entire thing. It's each of the three faces, right? And we each have a separate color for the mouth, two gray ones that represent the bad things that are going on, and one red one which we want to achieve. And it's kind of symbolic of the way we want to break up our ideas when looking at the biodiversity in the region. The first paragraph has to do with like what's going on in Brazil regarding the deforestation and the reduction in the number of species in the rainforest. The second has to do with the kind of results that's going to have in the region and on biodiversity of the world if humans continue to act how they do. And the third, the red face, is kind of what we want to achieve in our project, telling the people what they can do, what they have been doing, and what they need to change to preserve the biodiversity in their region. This first paragraph here says, a major issue in terms of the environment is the decrease in number of species in each environment in the world today. With humans now being able to genetically modify species which normally might be divided among thousands of types, might be whittled down to one or two which might best suit human needs. Take corn for example. People have inbred corn to the point that a lot of the genetic makeup of the corn in most U.S. farms is nearly identical, which is a huge indicator of a decrease in biodiversity. This is actually a bad thing. So although more corn, more food is produced by each of these inbred corn plants, it means that if one gets a disease which could kill it or just hurts it or stops the crop, it would spread to all the rest of them. And since they have the same genetic makeup, they would all be affected the same way. They would all die, or whatever the disease does to them, the exact same, because they're basically clones of each other. So in that case, biodiversity is a good thing, but now we've taken it away, and it's going to be bad for the U.S. crop if another disease springs up, which could take hold of the plants. Okay, so the big issue in the lack of biodiversity that's taking hold in the Peruvian rainforest is that there are lots of species, even unknown ones, which could potentially be used as cures for some of the most advanced illnesses we can track today. Indigenous species in the Amazon are very important to the basically culturally Amazonian people who were there before anyone else was, and they've been using nature for such purposes like medicine and just things to help people, herbs, medicinal herbs, and etc. However, as the forest is shrinking, they're losing these types of plants and things that could help them. So, what's happening in Peru regarding forests and their destruction? There are about 5,528 plant species and 760 animal species endemic to Peru. However, many of these species need special and careful protection, particularly given the extensive and often illegal hunting and imposition of human business. There are a total of 222 endangered species, of which 31 are facing extinction, 89 are classified as vulnerable, 22 are rare, and 80 have an indefinite status. An astounding 715 hectares of forest is lost every day in Peru. Illegal logging is a significant contributing factor, but slash and burn and other agricultural activities as well, in particular involved with cocoa growing, have driven Peru's current deforestation rate to approximately 645 acres per year, which is actually a lot. Deforestation of the Peruvian rainforest is causing the emission of greenhouse gases as well, and eliminating the species which live in the area. The rate of deforestation in Peru is about 0.35% to 0.5%, which is, I know it seems like a little bit, but there's literally so much forest in Peru that this amount, this small percentage, is going to be a lot. It's about 617,500 acres cut down each year. In Peru's Madre de Dios region alone, 15,810 acres of rainforest vanish per year, and that's been since the beginning of the global economic crisis in 2008.
As far as preserving any amount of species in an environment, non-specifically, the actions which would make conditions for the lives of indigenous species unsurvivable must be put to an end. On a general basis, climate change and deforestation have a huge impact on the longevity of a species in this day and age. As more and more people burn more fossil fuel each day and release harmful gases into the atmosphere which burn the ozone layer and trap more heat above the Earth's surface, the Earth is getting progressively warmer. Seeing as some species are very delicate and can only live at a certain temperature, this relatively rapid environmental change is killing off species within the Peruvian Amazon forest and decreasing the extreme biodiversity of the area. The same goes for deforestation of such an area. When companies clear areas or forests for further human development, they eliminate the organisms themselves and their homes. By decreasing the living space of the millions of species in the Amazon rainforest, humans are increasing competition and killing off many species which we may not even have discovered yet.
Our focus on the Lorento region in Brazil has to do with the fact that it is considered to be very diverse in its inclusion of many species of plants and animals, and because it contains the city of Iquitos, the fifth largest city in Peru, with a population of nearly 500,000 people. This means that humans have a large effect on the forest from their position in the country. By focusing on this small area, we can focus our broadcasting effort on a small population that can mean a lot to the biodiversity of the region. We plan to inform the people of the city using posters and radio broadcasts, as well as public seminars housed by a local cafe such that many daily customers might stop in and listen to our interactive presentation. We want to let the people know what they need to do to preserve the biodiversity of the region, expand man's technological capabilities, and increase the longevity of the planet by making an example of the city.
Now here are some facts about biodiversity. 70% of the world's known species risk extinction if the global temperatures rise more than 3.5 degrees Celsius. The rate of deforestation in Peru is 0.35% to 0.5%, which is about 617,500 acres cut down each year. In Peru's Madre de Dios region alone, 15,810 acres of rainforest vanish per year since the beginning of the global economic crisis in 2008. In Peru, an astonishing 715 hectares of forest are lost each and every day. 75% of genetic diversity of agricultural crops have been lost. Extinction rates. 1 out of every 8 birds are threatened of extinction. 1 out of every 4 mammals are threatened of extinction, and 1 out of every 4 carnivores are threatened of extinction. Also, 1 out of 3 amphibians and 6 out of 7 marine turtles are threatened with extinction.